Did you know if you go to York, you're entitled to shoot a Scotsman on sight, except on Sundays, but only with a crossbow? However, if he's drunk, you can shoot him on any day, including Sundays. Now, there may be some people that think that's not a bad idea for a law, and it's all over the internet. But in fact, the Law Commission have examined this closely, and they can find no evidence for this law ever having existed. And in fact, they say that it's illegal to shoot a Scotsman, Welsh, or any other person on any day, for any reason, with any weapon, whether they're drunk or not. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I've got 15 more crazy laws for you as well. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello there, and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact the older generation still matters and looks at issues that matter to the older generation. Please give the site a like and a follow and a thumbs up, and do share the videos as well. It all helps this fledgling channel to grow. We're nearly a year old, so we really could do with a bit of a push to try and get a few more subscribers. So thanks very much in advance for that. Now, you heard of one crazy law just then. I've got another 15 for you, and they have been checked, and a couple don't exist anymore. Some, like that Scotsman, one shooting a Scotsman, that didn't exist, and there are a couple of others that may be a bit dubious. However, let's have a look at some of them. The first one is in London. It's part, I believe, of the Metropolitan Police Act, and it makes it illegal to beat a carpet or shake a rug in the street. But it's not illegal if you do it before 8 AM. Okay, so just make sure if you're going to go out in the street to beat your carpets or your rugs that you do it before 8 AM. Now, this next one could be an issue for you if you're a bit of a DIYer. If you pop into B&Q or Wix or any other DIY centre and you buy yourself a set of ladders or a plank, and you live within walking distance of home, don't walk them home, because again, under the Metropolitan Police Act, it's illegal to walk down the street with a ladder or a plank. Now, I don't see how this can work, because for a start, what about window cleaners? They ply their trade with ladders. They used to ride bicycles with the ladders slung over their shoulders, and it would entail at some point walking down the street. And I've searched and I can't find a reason for it. I've got nothing to say it's not true. If you know the reason, leave a comment down below, because I'd really like to know what's going on with that one. This next one could be a problem for you if you're going to a fancy dress party, or maybe taking part in a VE Day celebration, any of these kind of events that we have. I mean, a big VE Day celebration we should have had last year that couldn't take place. And that is, it's illegal for you to dress up in a military uniform. Who knew? The offence is, and I quote, personating the holder of a certificate of service or discharge. You could theoretically end up with a 1-month prison sentence. And in fact, in 2009, some poor chap was actually arrested and dealt with for wearing a guardsman's outfit, a guardsman's uniform, in public. I can see why they wouldn't want you impersonating military personnel, but I think this probably goes a little bit far. I'd like to know the circumstances of why he was arrested. Maybe he turned up in London in his fancy dress uniform and tried to march in with the guardsmen as they're going up the Mall or something. But yeah, be careful when you go to your next fancy dress party, in case you've got a rather overzealous policeman who might decide it will be worth an unusual nick for him. Now again, in London, Hackney Carriages, which for our American friends are taxis, cabs, there's a distinction in the UK between private hire and Hackney Carriages. Hackney Carriages can ply their trade and they sit on a rank and they can pick people up basically on the street. You can hail them, flag them down, whereas private hire have to actually be pre-booked. But there's a bit of a glitch with that for Hackney Carriages, because according to this law, section 33, and I can't remember the act, bad with me I know, it's illegal for a cab to ply for trade while it's moving. So when you see them driving down the road with their for hire sign on, that's actually illegal because they're plying for hire and they're not on the rank. They're supposed to be on the rank. And the current maximum fine is £200. And what the law says, and I have to read this, is that every driver of a Hackney carriage who shall ply for hire elsewhere than at some standing or place permitted for that purpose shall be committing an offence, for which the current maximum fine is £200. So how does it work? Because they're always driving around with their yellow lights on and people always hail them and they pull over and stop and you get in. It seems that the police have got a view on this. There's an understanding that a moving taxi with its for hire light shining is not plying for hire, not officially. It's only when the taxi driver pulls to the curb and stops that he's deemed to be plying for hire. So you flag him down, he pulls over and stops, that's the point he's plying for hire and you get in, which is legal. I guess it stops them from pulling up anywhere on a road and just sitting there with their light on and waiting for a passenger to come up and say, hi, I want to go somewhere. But officially, they're breaking the law. How about that then? I didn't know that. Now, all the evidence I can find is saying that this next crazy law isn't currently active. And it states that women cannot consume chocolate on public transport. Yeah, I've looked for that, for evidence of that everywhere, and I can't find any trace of anything to say that's a genuine law. If you know different, let me know. Make a comment down below. Oh, I'm a poet. The other one is Henry VI apparently made it an offence to drop an egg on its sharp end. Why? I don't get that. Again, I can find no trace of any evidence of that being true, but you'll find it in a lot of places on the internet. So if you know if it is true and the reason behind it, let me know down in the comments. Really want to know the answer to that one. This next one's a bit of a pain. This is Daventry County Council. They've made it an offence for dog walkers not to have poo bags with them. Now, you can be fined £100 if you don't have a poo bag on you. But it also means if you've just put your poo bag in the bin and you're walking home and you get stopped, you can still be fined, even though you're a responsible owner, because you don't have a poo bag upon your person. The answer seems to be to take a supply of poo bags with you so you never run out and never risk a fine. I think that one is a little bit draconian, and I think it's just a way of the council getting a bit of extra cash. I'm not happy with that one, not in its entirety anyway. Now this next crazy law, if you're a fan of Robin Hood, you'll probably appreciate that, but the law required that every man had to learn how to use a longbow, and they had to practice regularly, and that was from a law enacted in 1541. You can see maybe why in 1541 it was relevant, but did you know it wasn't repealed until 1960? I used to practice with a bow and arrow all the time when I played cowboys and Indians. Those were the days. Okay. The next crazy law, this has affected me quite badly actually. Apparently it's illegal to cause or permit a servant to stand on a sill and clean the windows. For goodness sake, I mean, what am I supposed to do now? I've got servants just standing by, not able to work because I can't shove them out the window onto the windowsill. Now, what's the world coming to? It's dreadful. Now this next crazy law, maybe not quite so crazy given the circumstances we found ourselves in for the last year and a bit. But it says in London it's illegal for a person knowingly to flag down a taxi or get on a bus if they've got the plague. Well, it is kind of now, isn't it? Because with this current plague, we're having to self-isolate and so on. But that law prohibits anyone that has a notifiable disease, and it says, including the plague, okay, from entering any form of public conveyance. And if they do, they have to advise the driver first. That's still there, still legislation, and we're now in a position where actually it means something. But that was only in London. Let's have a little look at some of the crazy laws from around the world. Now, in Arizona, it's illegal to cut down a cactus. Now, that's what you'll see on various internet sites. It's not quite as straightforward as that. It's a particular type of cactus. It's the saguaro cactus. And even on private property, it's an offence to cut it down or damage it. And that's because all the cacti in Arizona are protected by law. You can get 25 years in prison for cutting down a cactus. Probably something you don't want to do. Could be a prickly situation, couldn't it? If you go to Switzerland, be careful, because filling baths and flushing toilets is illegal after 10 p.m. Not quite as it seems. That only applies to multi-occupancy buildings, so flats and apartments. It's part of the noise pollution and control measures they've got in place so that other neighbours are not disturbed by your ablutions. So just remember that if you go to visit Switzerland, don't flush after 10 p.m. Right, it's over to Egypt for this next one. Apparently, it's illegal for men to belly dance. Now, if this ever was a law, I don't think it is now, because on a Nile cruise and on many Nile cruises, you find that there are competitions run between men and women to see who's the best belly dancer. And there are apparently some renowned male belly dancers in Egypt. And back in history, they used to dance, the men used to dance these traditional dances, including the belly dance. So I have my suspicions that that may not be 100% accurate. If you know different, let me know down below. Now, again, there's no trace I can find of this one ever being enacted, but apparently North Carolina in the States does have some strange laws. And this one apparently prohibits anyone from singing off key in public. Aww. They obviously don't have karaoke in North Carolina, that's all I can say. And finally, in California, farmers are up against it. And this actually isn't so much a crazy law, but it's a crazy, unenforceable law, I would have thought. They have to reduce the methane emissions from their cattle by 40% by the year 2030. How on earth can they do that? I mean, cattle eat grass. Grass creates methane. You can't feed them necessarily. I don't think you can feed them artificial foods. Natural is obviously best, and eating grass is best. So how are they going to achieve that? I do not know. I just don't see how it's possible. So there we go. 16 crazy laws that some are still in force, some aren't, some may never have existed. If you've got any crazy laws you've heard of, post them down below, put them in the comments. I'm quite happy to have a look and see if I can find if there's any truth behind them, and we can maybe talk about them in a future video. Coming up in future videos, we've got our trip to Alaska, and we've got some interviews coming up as well. There's lots of content we're working on, and I hope that I think June is our anniversary, our first year anniversary. We shall maybe try and get something special together for that one. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining us. I do appreciate the time you take to come and look at our little videos. Do give a like and a share and a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time on Grey Matters. Bye for now.